We've already heard from the Ravens about the San Francisco 49ers previewing their matchup. Now it's time to hear from the San Francisco 49ers themselves. And we are going to hear from two specific guys, Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, and how they stop Lamar Jackson. We know Lamar Jackson is coming into this game as one of the MVP favorites. And the word on the streets is whoever wins this game is going to be the MVP, whether Lamar Jackson or Brock Purdy, maybe Christian McCaffrey, depending on who has a day. But that's what we're hearing. One of these guys on either team is going to win the MVP, depending on who wins this game. So it's going to be on the San Francisco 49ers defense to try to neutralize Lamar Jackson. And so what we are hearing is kind of their thought process and game plan behind trying to slow down the MVP candidate in Lamar Jackson. And we know him well. We've played him before, and we know how versatile he can be with the run and the pass. But there are things that the 49ers defense is seeing, and they are identifying his evolution. But Fred Warner really isn't looking at that 2019 game because of that reason. He sees a Lamar Jackson who is much, much different, and an offense that is different as well. Take a listen to what Fred Warner had to say when trying to keep Lamar Jackson in check. Hard to stop him, but just got to keep him in check. Take a listen right here.
Was there anything you remember about that game, though, that could be beneficial in facing him again that you might have picked up in the course of that?
I mean, that was a long while ago. I remember it was cold and rainy. I remember that.
That's accurate. Yeah.
But man, I think it's been so long. I think what's more relevant now is just watching the tape from this year and going off of that. But Lamar's always been a heck of a playmaker. I mean, things that he can do with his legs and throwing the football is incredible, and for sure going to be our toughest opponent this season.
When you put the tape on, obviously a new offensive coordinator there, a little bit different system. Do you see him maybe evolving a little more in terms of just wanting to stay home in the pocket, and how does that maybe change the way you go about defending?
Yeah, I think that's where he's progressed the most, honestly, is just when he is running. Yeah, he can hurt you with his legs, but he can also hurt you by running to then look down the field and throw an explosive pass on you, that sort of thing. And him being more aware of wanting to stay in the pocket and deliver the football to his receivers, his playmakers. So you can't just sit there and say, hey, just hold him in the pocket, don't let him get loose. You hold him in the pocket and you don't apply pressure, then he's going to hit you deep. So that's where it's like we got to be on top of every little detail going into this week.
Again, when you have a mobile quarterback like Lamar Jackson, ideally you want to keep him in the pocket. But like Fred Warner alludes to and gives much respect to Lamar Jackson is if you keep him in the pocket, he is really developed as a passer from the pocket, which was much different from when we played him in 2019. So there are going to be, they have to be assignment sound. It's really that simple. I talked about it early on State of the Franchise with Jason Aponte, where ideally you have to keep him in the pocket in a sense because you don't want him escaping and hitting you with explosives downfield. So you want to keep him in the pocket. You want your edges to get to the depth of the quarterback and then collapse, right? That's the idea, to force him up into the pocket. Hopefully you have Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead right there on the interior to be watching him, potentially using Fred Warner as a spy. So that if he does leak through the pocket, you have Fred Warner on him to be able to go get him. So, but again, I would say the offense that the Ravens are presenting is a more complete offense opposed to the one ran by Greg Roman, which was fundamentally is a run first offense, but with a quarterback run first. So they have evolved their passing game, and that starts with Lamar Jackson. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And Nick Bosa talks about it too. He talks about the evolution and kind of their rush plan, kind of like what I was talking about, trying to get to the depth and squeeze to be able to maintain him in the pocket, but force him up because you don't, again, the emphasis, you can't let this guy leak out and create plays outside of structure. That's where he can really, really hurt you. So take a listen to Nick Bosa talk about like the D-line's rush plan and what they need to do to try to go get Lamar Jackson.
Are there things that you took from that experience that can help you see?
I don't remember much, but our game plan I think is a lot different this time around. I think he's evolved a lot, so he plays the game differently. So it's a different game for sure.
Do you see much difference with the new coordinator there in terms of what they're asking to do in the pocket?
Yeah, that's kind of the differences. I think he's trying to sit in there a little more and go through his reads, and not quite as run heavy, but they're the number one rushing team in the league, so that's obviously something we're going to have to deal with.
What's the key to defending him and how different in defending Kyler Murray?
Just taking him out of his comfort zone, taking the space out of his run game stuff, and he's their top rusher, so yeah, just making him uncomfortable in the pass game, not rushing scared, not trying to mirror like we did sometimes against some of the other mobile guys, but getting on him and wrapping him up so he can't break tackles.
What I do like about what Nick Bosa has to say is kind of moving away from things they've done in the past in regards to trying to neutralize rushing quarterbacks, like mirroring the quarterback when he's in the pocket, meaning you're trying to kind of just stay in lockstep with him. And he also mentioned not having fear of rushing the quarterback. So I do think they are going to try to treat him more like a prototypical pocket passer, however, understanding he has the ability to leak out and escape, because I do think that is where the evolution in the offense is coming from. It's coming from it going from such a run set centric from the quarterback to more of a pocket pass first style quarterback to then go make plays if you don't see what you have. And obviously, Bosa alludes to it as well. He's like, well, he's their best rusher and they're the number one rushing team in the NFL. So it's just a difference in how they go about it. And it sounds like the San Francisco 49ers are absolutely clued in to that scheme difference. And so you are going to have a little bit of battle between Steve Wilkes and Modkin and how they're going to have to kind of scheme versus scheme, how they're going to manage this. Do you use Fred as a spy? Do you have to drop a safety down into the box to be able to, stay engaged and in phase with Isaiah Likely while Fred can spy the quarterback? What does that create? Does that create one-on-ones on the outside with Zay Flowers and Odell? How do you compound that or counteract that? So this is going to be not only is it going to just be a battle of talents, but I think it's going to be low-key a chess match. I really do. I think that's how Lamar has evolved as a quarterback. He's a quarterback. Like, he can read the field, see the field, deliver the ball. And if that breaks down, we know what he can do with his legs. So this is going to be definitely one of the bigger challenges for the San Francisco 49ers and they faced all year. Now, obviously, they have faced mobile quarterbacks. They just faced Kyler Murray last week, Jalen Hurts, et cetera, et cetera. So they do have some baseline, experience just this season. But it is going to be fascinating to see how they react and who ultimately comes out on top. What do you guys think about the game plan that these guys have going? What do you think the 49ers need to do to help neutralize Lamar Jackson? Let me know in the comments below, and shout out NBC Sports Authentic for the clips from inside the locker room. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.